What's up, horse racing fans? Welcome to the Kentucky Derby prep episode of the Inside Post. This weekend, we're down in Fairgrounds on Saturday, February 15th for the Risen Star Stakes, a Grade 2 stakes race for 50 Kentucky Derby points. And we have a slew of runners in here, 13 notables coming in to try to pick up these 50 Kentucky Derby win points and set themselves up pretty much to make the gate for the Kentucky Derby. So we're going to go through the field, look at each horse, then kind of give you our top pick. Next up, contender, and as always, the Inside Post long shot pick of the race for this Kentucky Derby prep. Starting off on the inside, we have number 1 in American Promise. This is a Justify colt for, yes, the coach, the man, Wayne Lucas. Giving Keith Asmussen a mount on this one for the first time. Comes out of the Southwest, did very poorly in there, finished 6th, off very, very slow out of the gate, and just really couldn't rally or make anything up late in the stretch. Was beat out by 2 really good horses, 3 really good horses, if you're a Tiz-tastic fan, but Speed King and Sandman looked pretty phenomenal in that Southwest, kind of moving forward on the road to the Derby. Has some early speed, so if we can get a better gate break out of American Promise, I believe the horse is going to be about 12-1 as post time or morning line comes out. It just took a while for this horse to break its maiden. Started off on, I believe, the $100,000 level and was able to break it on a muddy track, going a mile on a 16th, however. So take it as you would. Kind of ran against some other horses in here, Render, Judgment, and like I said, some really good other horses, Speed King, Chancer McPatrick, who are not in here, but probably going to be up against it for sure. This one is, however, nominated for the Triple Crown Series, so we'll see if we see this one later on in the Derby preps or maybe in a different Triple Crown race. I just think this one's kind of a big long shot. 12-1 is probably pretty generous on this horse, but it does have some speed figures. The workouts are kind of below par of some of the other runners in here. However, you got to respect Wayne Lucas. You got to respect the sire of Justify. Kind of wish we would have seen somebody else aboard. I know Luis Saez is jumping on a different horse in this mount, and here we have Keith Asmussen. So kind of one that we're fading out of the way in here. Number 2, we have Jonathan's Way, probably the second, maybe third betting choice in here for Phil Bauer with Jose Ortiz. The horse looked really good in that, I believe it was the Jockey Club at Churchill back in November. Was a grade 2, finished second in there behind First Resort, who we've yet to see, I believe, run in 2025. So we'll see if this one, running into First Resort was heavy bet that day as well. See if it can fire back. I believe the horse is going to have to go probably set a career best speed figure coming in here. As you can see, 90 being the best. A couple 85s and 86s in the past 2 starts, especially in the juvenile. Of course, running into Citizens Bull and Gaming. Does get a jockey change. We go from Joel Rosario to Jose Ortiz, so that should be a little help for this horse. The Vacoma sires have been phenomenal, or the prodigies of Vacoma have been running pretty great. Once they've kind of went on their maidens or their second starts, but then when we see them in their third, fourth, they kind of like hit a wall. They run into a little bit stiffer competition. And then it's kind of like, what do we do? Or what are we going to use these horses? Like I said, this one's probably going to be 4-1, 5-1. But again, really nothing wrong besides the juvenile. Just kind of ran into really good horses that day. Comes back in here. Again, going to have to face the likes of East Avenue, Built, and some of the other horses trying graded stakes for the first time. But I think this one is, a likely wise choice for a second pick, or even third pick if you want to go with a little bit better of a price horse in here. But again, like I said, nothing wrong. Breaking its maiden at the $100,000 level. Winner of the Grade 3 Iroquois, beating out an 0-0 Mighty horse that was getting a lot of attention. Kind of just, like I said, runs into stiffer competition in that juvenile, and then kind of backs it up in the Jockey Club behind First Resort, who again is a really good horse. on the trail. The workouts look pretty phenomenal. February 8th, sorry, 4 furlongs. We went 47-4, was the third fastest out of 126. February 1st, first fastest out of 40, going 5 furlongs in a minute and 1. So another one that looks really good on the workout side of things, comes off another pretty good layoff from November out of that jockey club. So layoff could be helpful for this horse in here. I think this one could be in great form if you look at the workouts, definitely. So we'll see. It looks like Bowers kind of has this one primed and ready to go, and we'll see if we get the best Jonathan's way. Number 3 on the card is going to be Vasimo. This is Todd Pletcher with Irad Ortiz. One of the lighter racehorses coming in here. One that just broke its maiden again at the $40,000 level. Comes into an optional claimer, non-winners, I believe, of 2. Posted an 81 speed figure, so a little slower compared to some of these other top horses that have ran in some graded stakes races. But does have one factor as early speed. Does get Irad Ortiz aboard yet again. The workouts look okay. The best one probably January 31st. 4 furlongs and 48 and 2. Kind of like the Nyquist with the Uncle Mo on top. Like I said, the horse is undefeated, yeah. But it's yet to run in any type of maiden that these other horses have ran in at the $100,000 level. And this will be the first stakes or even graded stakes race that this horse is ran in. However, it is nominated for the Triple Crown races. I believe we're going to get about 8 or 10 to 1 on this horse, rightfully so. But a sneaky one in here. If we let Todd Pletcher and Irad Ortiz go off at 10 to 1 or more, we could get burned if we're trying to use this horse as a second or third betting option. And number 4, we have probably the morning line favorite, going to be the betting favorite in here in East Avenue. Haven't seen the horse since the Breeders' Juvenile. Was the post-time favorite in there, and again, beat out by Citizens Bull and Gaming. Finished a disappointing 9th. Just bad start, stumbled at the gate, and then just had nothing to go off of that terrible start. So we're expecting early speed from East Avenue. Tyler Gaffalione has to get this horse out early. As you can see in the Breeders' Futurity, in Keeneland, the horse got out early, wired the field. Same thing when it's broke in Spain at the 70 level. Got out early, wired the field. So the horse hasn't really faced much just because it's came off of a pretty good layoff since the Breeders' Cup. Again, Citizens Bull, Gaming, Hill Road, all those horses beat out this horse. Just a terrible race for East Avenue. Looking at the Breeders' Futurity, beat a Ferocious who kind of came back and just, again, another disappointing race by Ferocious. So is East Avenue the horse, to get the buzz? Is the horse rightfully deemed the 9 to 5 morning line favorite? It's a stretch, just because, again, the layoff, it has to have a good gate break, it looks like, to be able to get out early and to run some of these other horses off the track. Now, yes, the horse has all that potential. The workouts look pretty good. It looks like Brendan Walsh, is high on the horse. Obviously, this is a good spot for him to try to pick up 50 points. And if not, they can just kind of point somewhere else to try to get some more points if he finishes on the board. You got to respect the Go Dolphins here. The Medaglia d'Oro, El Prado, sire line with this horse. And it has Ghost Zapper on the dam side. So the distance is there for sure. The past 2 times, again, running a mile and a 16. So I don't think that was an issue or anything like that. Just a bad gate. Break, and the horse could be sitting at, looking a little bit better than a 9th place finish in the Juvenile. So we'll see what we get. This one's a tough one to try to really pinpoint just because, again, that layoff, but the works look respectable. And obviously, you have to respect the horse for what it's done in that Breeders' Futurity rather than the Juvenile. 5, we got Chunk of Gold, big 30 to 1 price in here for Ethan West, and I believe Abel Cedillo will get the mount. Comes out of the Leonidas at Turfway, finishing second with Luan Machado aboard. And I believe broke its maiden at Turfway, also going 6 furlongs. So I don't know if the distance is what this horse is going to want, or even if the dirt is what this horse is going to want. But it's interesting. This one is a late type runner, and we know we're going to have some early speed with East Avenue and possibly even American Promise getting out early, setting up a pretty good early speed for Chunk of Gold to kind of have a late run at. The horse, like I said, does ship out from Turfway. Looks like it put out a pretty good work February 8th, 5 furlongs in a minute. Was 5th fastest on the day, but again, at Turfway, sometimes we see these horses transition to dirt and run about average. We don't really see anything crazy unless they're going to the turf. So this one's definitely interesting. Trying to ship in here. Possibly we could see this one kind of rerun in the Jeff Ruby, since Turfway has kind of been where it's home based at. So 30 to 1, just a deep ticket price in here. Another one that you probably should fade. Next, we're going with number 6, Seattle Road. This is 30 to 1 as well for Tom Amos, Marcelino Pedroza Jr. It comes out of the comp, another Derby prep race. This one has some grade 3 stakes. Just a bad chance in there. At 80 to 1 was this horse's odds in the Lecomte. Probably going to be like rightfully in there, as well as this one is already 30 to 1, possibly on the morning line. Broke its maiden again at the 58 level, so kind of somewhat comparable to the other ones, but just other than that, just hasn't done much. Started off in the $100,000 maiden and finished 10th. I believe it was on the turf as well. So the horse is kind of trying to find its spot right now. They tried the Lecomte and then just nothing whatsoever. Beat out by Built, Render Judgment, American Promise. All those horses have beat out Seattle Road in a previous race. Yet to pick up a win in 2025. Like I said, 1 win so far in 2024. This horse, obviously on the downhill trajectory. Probably we see this horse back on the turf sometime. As maybe that's what they're trying to figure out, is where to put this horse. Maybe it doesn't want the distance, as it's not ran anything under a mile in its 5 starts. So we could see that one kind of maybe shortening up and being a better sprinter. Number 7, Septarian. This one comes out of the Mucho Macho Man, a grade stakes race in here for Chad Brown, giving Flavion Pratt the nod in here on this one. Tyler Gaffalione jumps off of this, obviously, to ride East Avenue. But this one's very interesting. We get blinkers on for Septarian. This one could be a sneaky price in here as well. Currently 12 to 1 possibility on the morning line. Looking at maybe 10 or the high singles of an 8 or 9 to 1 horse. Broke its maiden at the 26 level, so very low. But then fired back in that Mucho Macho Man, finishing 3rd. 73 speed figure was pretty decent on the day, but the workouts look phenomenal on this horse. February 9th, 48-3. Breezing was fast out of 48. February 2nd, same thing, 4 furlongs, 49. Another breeze fast out of 44 horses on the day as well. So one that's in really good form for Chad Brown. The Protonico is interesting. Sire, this one has yet to go a mile or over a mile. So we'll see if the distance plays an issue. But this one's going to be a pace runner in here to see if we can kind of shake it up a little bit. I like the jockey up with Flavion Pratt, so that should help this horse as well. But we'll see if the distance is going to play into the factor. Having to go a mile and an eighth, yet to run over a mile. But the workouts look really good. And Chad Brown's always sneaky in these positions when he's putting horse on blinkers. The workouts look great. So we'll see what happens. And he did just claim this horse, I believe, right after its win of non-winners of 2. And then automatically throws the horse into the Mucho Macho Man. Next up, we have number 8, Giocosa. Believe Keith DeSermo, Jaime Torres is on this. Heavy raced horse, 6 times, 2 wins. Again, a win coming out of the $71,000 maiden level. 78 speed figure in that race. Has been holding 70s pretty strongly in the Iroquois, the grade 2 Bourbon. And then just an allowance race to kind of prep for this. But does come off a pretty good layoff and is coming from turf. So another one that's kind of up against it on the odds in here of 20 to 1. Probably going to see this one rightfully so around that mark. But probably should stick to the turf. Even though they're probably pointing at trying to pick up some Derby points coming out of the Iroquois. Running 3rd in there behind Jonathan's Way. Seeing if they can get another round of Derby points in here. Next up, we got number 9, Built Out of Hard Spun for Wayne Catalano. Luis Saez is getting the mount in here. So very interesting jockey change from Jared Loveberry to Luis Saez. Another one that could possibly be a speedster out front, or maybe one that's just going to sit off the pace a little bit. Again, nominated for Triple Crown. Comes out of that Lecomte, finishing second behind Disco Time there. And then winner of the Gunrunner and breaking its maiden at the $100,000 level. The Gunrunner, huge 92 speed figure. One of the fastest of any of these horses of the 13 that we've seen. And like I said, has some early speed to kind of be dangerous in kind of like an outside post in that 9 spot. Last time raced January 18th was the Lecomte, so is coming off a pretty good fresh race. The workouts again are average compared to the likes of East Avenue and Jonathan's Way. Kind of interesting. The horse was kind of talked about not pointing in here, going somewhere else, going to a bigger Derby prep. So Catalano wanted to ship this horse or put this horse in this spot just in case something happens. So don't be like crazy unexpected if Built kind of scratches out of here just because it was a big question mark coming in. Just because the horse is going to run against the likes of East Avenue and Jonathan's Way and some of the other horses that it's kind of already beat. So going to be interesting to see if this one sticks it out, but very likely contender 5-1. So probably your third betting choice in here behind East Avenue and Jonathan's Way. Render Judgment, number 10. Kenny McPeak, Brian Hernandez. This one is out of Blame. Very interesting horse comes in with a little bit of late speed. Probably going to be just a mid-pack cruiser in here. Coming from that Gunrunner as well with Built and Magnitude. Finishing third behind those two in there. We'll go 1 1/8 for the first time, however. And then other than that, the Jockey Club finishing 5th behind First Resort and Jonathan's Way. Breaking its maiden at the 122 level. Beating out American Promise. And then first go around was beat out by Built. So the horse has been in and out of some of the other competitions in here. The speed figures are in the 70s. So it's going to have to run a big speed number in here. And I just think with the horse being able to sit mid-pack, there's going to be a lot of speed early and a little bit of speed late. I just think it's going to be a tough one for Render Judgment to kind of make any type of run. Number 11, Jolly Samurai. Danny Pish for Renee Diaz. Comes out of Lecomte as well. 66 speed in there. Just too much traffic, too much problems early. The horse came out like 13th out of the gate. And just nothing whatsoever. No rally. Went too wide. I believe it's like the quarter pole. And nothing whatsoever. Same thing. Springboard comes out bad. And again, no threat. Broke its main at the 34 level and immediately went into some lower level stakes, I believe, at Remington Park. But again, another one that you probably are going to fade out in here. 30-1 on this one. Big prize horse, obviously, but just not a whole lot in the Springboard and the Lecomte to kind of like wow you or consider this horse as a long shot bet. Vamos Carlitos. Greg Foley, Florent Giroux, one that's kind of been at the track before January 20th, ran at Fairgrounds and a $100,000 optional claimer, finishing second in there behind Admiral Dennis with Jose Ortiz. So it gets Florent Giroux back aboard. In here, maiden level was a 32. Has yet to see any type of stakes races, a couple of allowance, a claiming race, in and out. Just kind of a big question mark on what this horse wants to do or what they're going to do with this horse. It's been on the synthetic, it's been on, an off track, it's been on the turf. And then here we are going a little bit longer in a Derby prep. Kind of interesting that Florent gets this mount in here, the sire of Catholic Boy, and then it has the dam Gabiria out of Medaglia d'Oro. So it's got some pedigree going for it in here. It's just the horse has kind of been up and down of where it wants to be. When Florent was on the horse, he did get this horse out fairly early, sat pretty close to the lead and was able to win. So possibly look for something like that as a tactic horse that's going to come in and maybe sit off the pace and kind of surprise a lot. Right now, this horse is gearing at 30-1 possibility, and we got Florent Giroux on a 30-1 horse. Likely take a stab at this one. Who knows? Again, the horse 81 speed figure, not terrible. Hasn't raced in any stakes races. But when Florent Giroux was on this horse last, he did put the horse in a great spot to win, and that's what they did. Again, it was against some pretty lower horses, so definitely going to have to take a step forward and do his best riding in here. And the final, number 13, Magnitude, Steve Asmussen with Ben Curtis on the mount. This is a not this time colt yet again. The Damn Rockadelic is out of Bernardini. Interesting that we get Ben Curtis aboard. Obviously, Jose Ortiz, Tyler Gaffalione have been taken to ride some a little bit better style horses in here. But another one coming out of the comp, coming out of the Gun Runner, and comes out of the Iroquois, so has raced against some of these other foes in here with really nothing to show. The Gun Runner, probably the best, ran second to Built that day and was able to beat out Render Judgment. And the LeCompte, again, ran into Disco Time, Built, and a couple others, finishing sixth. So another one that needs to get out early. I just don't know if it's going to be able to with this outside draw and a lot of speed to the inside. So probably one that's going to be faded out. 12-1 currently. This one's probably going to float up a little bit. But as you can see on the past performances, if the horse gets out early, it sets itself up for a pretty good running of first, second, or at least hitting the board. I just think it's going to struggle to get out of the gate with a lot of speed to the inside. So there's the 13 runners. Now, if you've made it this far, this is what you're kind of probably skip through to get is our top pick, next up contender in a long shot play. Obviously, top pick, we're going to try to beat East Avenue in here. It's going to be tough, but we're going to try with Jonathan's Way. Interesting, the horse gets a switch up with Jose Ortiz from Joel Rosario. Does come out of the same race, the juvenile, as East Avenue. Has one race back coming into this race. However, it was November 30th, so it does come off a pretty good layoff as well. I just think the horse is training really well right now. And I think the race kind of sets up a little bit better as this horse can play as a stalker in here rather than trying to get out early for the next up contender in East Avenue, who's going to be obviously that 2-horse or even could win this race. I wish there was a little tune-up in here before this. I know this is a pretty decent sized layoff for East Avenue. So we'll see what we get. If this horse is the real deal, we should be able to run and fire pretty good today. But we'll see what we get coming out of that disappointing juvenile. And our long shot play is going to be Septarian, 12-1 with Chad Brown and Flavion Pratt. Comes in third in that Mucho Macho Man. Another one that has some really good workouts comparable to Jonathan's Way. I think the horse is going to outrun its odds, hopefully. Kind of weak spot is breaking its maiden at this 26th level, but Chad Brown did claim the horse and automatically threw it in the Mucho Macho Man, finishing third in there. I think the horse has some early speed that could be dangerous. And with Flavion Pratt aboard, definitely going to be a jockey upgrade coming in for this type of race. And we see the blinkers added on. So obviously Chad Brown trying some other tactics in here as he just did get this horse on the claim to train. So there's our picks for the Risen Star. Again, Saturday, February 15th. What a race. We have a full loaded card. So we may do some live video betting. So make sure to like and subscribe, turn on your notifications, and then pop in during our live show as we kind of bet and try to hit some of these big races for the card. Thanks for watching. Make sure to comment down below your top pick for the Risen Star or for the Kentucky Derby. And hopefully you win big.